Thank you. We're with Chip Hanauer. We want to get into the business about the Squire shop changing names or changing boats for the last heat here in a minute. But what happened to the Squire boat out there today?
At the start line, or past the start line, the blower, which is the supercharger of the engine, front end of the engine, exploded, and all that compressed gas in there blew the cowling off. Okay.
Was that okay? Didn't you fix that once and then try to fix it again?
In the first heat, what happened is the nitrous oxide system. When you punch that nitrous oxide system, it's the system also increases the fuel to the engine. Well, there was no nitrous oxide in the line, so when I punched the button, all I got is a bunch of raw fuel, and it doused the fire out there for a couple of seconds. So, but in the second heat, it was just simply the blower let go.
What's this about Bill Muncey wearing a Squire shop jacket?
Yeah, I don't know. I looked over there and everybody's running around in Squire shop t-shirts, so I don't know what's going on. Maybe I got fired and they hired him. I don't know.
I don't think they did that, but I think it's an effort on Bill's part to do something for Squire shop. It sounded like an interest. Elaine is standing by with Bill Muncey right now. Chip, tough luck this afternoon. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you. We'll be there.
Thank you. Back to Elaine.
Well, I guess Elaine wasn't quite ready to get on the microphone over there, but I'm sure we'll have a report before too long. The racing action, again, just to keep you posted, is about 35 minutes away, and at 4:10 we'll have the final 10 miles of action today. The boats that will be running include the three top ones, Circus, and the Budweiser with 700 points each. The surprising Tempest, which has just managed to finish and pick up 569 points in its combination of two races. And then you get the Barney Armstrong's Machine, the Atlas Van Lines, and the Vans PX. Now, the Atlas Van Lines, as it turned out, did need Mike to finish first in Heat 1A, as it turned out. It couldn't have sandbagged and got back there with a 300-point finish and been in the race. So it's a good thing Bill went out there and stole it on everybody and raced easily and got his 400 points. He needed them. They
say it was fortunate that he got the draw he did under the circumstances, because he certainly didn't get a hot draw in the second heat, and he wasn't able to beat those boats. So the draw certainly worked out to Muncey's favor. If it had been otherwise, just a second-place finish, for example, with a hotter boat that he decided to sandbag with, it would have been all over for Bill. He wouldn't even be in this final. But he got lucky.
He made it, so he's got a chance to continue that amazing streak of his of not losing an unlimited race this season. And you know, that's like the heavyweight champ not losing a round in any of his fights.
It's incredible, virtually incredible, no doubt about that. And of course we have the Tri-City Tile and Masonry as the alternate, and it will be starting and getting out there to run as the alternate. And Ron, we look at the course conditions now, and nothing could be better. A little bit more chop perhaps, but the wind has died down. It's a beautiful afternoon. Elaine Perkins has now got something for us over in the Atlas camp.
Wiped up, and I'd be pulling out.
Okay, I understand that there has been some talk, and people have noticed that Bill Muncey is now wearing a Squire shop jacket. I don't know if it's been formally announced, but Bill evidently will race the final heat on behalf of the Squire shop. I'm with Jim Lucero's wife, the crew chief of the Atlas Van Lines, Terry Lucero. Will you explain the decision and exactly what that means?
Sure, we'd be delighted to. As you know, this is the Squire shop Seafair Regatta, and we're really pleased to have their boat out here. And when they didn't get in the final, I think we felt as badly about it as they did. And that's a very good camp, and they're really a lot of fun. So Bill decided to run over to their yacht and steal part of their clothes and race with the Squire shop colors. Mr. Frisbee and the Atlas team decided that that would be a good matchup. So we're going to try to get one of their flags on the boat also when he's lapping. So he says he's going to learn to do it in a Squire shop t-shirt.
What about, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. He's asleep, so I can say that. He can't yell at me. Now, what happens if the boat wins, and obviously it's a favorite to win, who will get the points?
As I understand it, the Atlas Van Lines will, but the Squire shop and the Atlas Van Lines are all going to get together and have a great wine party afterwards. If you want to come, you've been working too hard.
Oh, that's a terrific idea. Here he is.
If we're able to win this thing, and we're going to try awfully hard, it'll be a Squire shop Atlas Van Lines victory. Don't you think that's neat? Would you like to see it?
It's great. You look wonderful in red.
Looking as Chip Hanauer. But there's other things that elderliness brings to you.
Okay. Distinguished. He would not look distinguished in red. You look distinguished.
We thought we'd have a lot of fun dealing with it. We're sad that they didn't get in it. And I really wanted to have an Atlas Van Lines truck run over him, to be honest. But anyway, there are some great sports and a neat outfit, and we're glad they're in the sport, and they didn't get in the final heat, so we're going to represent them the best way we can.
Okay, and
right.
I'm sure that'll be a very good way. Bill Muncey will be wearing red, looking distinguished for the Squire shop. Now back to Rod Belcher.
Well, I guess
We're here next to the Bud with the man who's responsible for three-point hydroplanes for the design and manufacture of the first one. This is Ted Jones. What do you think of the race so far this afternoon?
It's fine. I think this third heat is going to make the difference, so I'll make a real race out of it, because up to this point it hasn't been real exciting running, I don't believe, but this last heat should be a scorcher.
When you invented this three-point hydroplane, what was revolutionary about it?
Well, up to that time they were V-bottom step hydros, and they had no air running under them. And I made sponsons and tunnel hulls, you might say, with three-point suspension, so that the air would run under them, so the speed would double itself. In fact, when I built the slow-mo, it was 100 miles an hour faster than any other boat in its class. It would do over 200, and the other boats are doing around 100, the step hydros. So the three-point suspension is apparently the way to go, and we've proven it. I built 22 of them, and they were all quite successful.
What are the names of some of those?
Well, the Bardol and all the thriftway boats, and the slow-mo 4 and 5, Shanty, Maverick, Wahoo, Miss Volcan, oh, lots of them. I don't remember them all.
What's your favorite boat out here today?
Well, of course, it's Miss Budweiser that my son built right behind me here. It's a new boat. It needs probably a little experimentation with the propeller and the gearbox. But as soon as they get that worked out, they won't have any competition, I don't believe.
Does he come back and ask Pop what to do about some problems that they run into?
Oh, Ron doesn't have to do that. He's got things pretty well figured out by now.
So what are you doing in hydroplaning these days?
I am not building hydroplanes. I'm building tunnel boats and doing a lot of ocean racing, rough water racing. It seems to be more fun because you can be way out in the ocean and go to the Bahamas, one thing or another.
Who's going to win this last race out here?
I wish I could tell you, but I'll say you this. Somebody asked me that earlier, and I feel that the man ahead for most of the race isn't going to win it, because he'll probably break, and the guy that's pushing him may break too, and the third man up will probably come in first. This is what usually happens when there's so much torrid competition as there is today. And this third heat is going to be a pistol, believe me.
Ted Jones, we're looking forward to it. Nice of you to share your experiences with us. Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
We'll be back. Rod, to you.
Yeah, Dick, and time is we're under 10 minutes to go. In other words, we're well, coming up on about 3.5 minutes to the 5-minute gun. So you figure it out. The tension is building. The racing action is about to just explode before us, I assume. Some of the boats have been lifted on their cranes and have gone into the water. I just looking over at the Atlas van lines, it's just poised above the water and is just now dropping onto the surface of Lake Washington. The Bud went in earlier, I believe, and we can look for some head-to-head competition with them for at least part of the race based on last week's experience in the Tri-Cities area. And of course, you never know about this circus boat. We'll know more as the minutes tick on. Right now, we pause for break in the action. Back with this in our exclusive coverage after a
moment. Puget Sound people live life.
Go out for the championship finale, and Steve Reynolds would love to win his first unlimited hydroplane race in the Circus. And of course, he will have some tough company. Dean Chenoweth in the Miss Budweiser looking for his first win in 1979. And certainly Chuck Hickling has come a long way with that U-17 Tempest, and he'll be looking for a victory as well. Bill Muncey, well, he's the catbird, the guy with all of the tricks, and he's the one to beat, certainly, to say the least. Ron Armstrong has steadily come along and survived in the U-80 Vans PX to make his way to the final field. And, of course, the alternate driver will be Jack Schaefer, driving the Tri-City tile and masonry hull. And the 5-minute gun has fired, and all 6, including the alternate, are on the race course. So it comes down to a south wind of about 10 miles an hour with water conditions looking almost perfect for a barn burner of a boat race. Ted Jones saying the third boat in the heat by attrition should win. I got a feeling the first guy to stab it, turn left, and come out of it on top may very well go to the bank on Monday morning, but you never can tell. We saw the most powerful boats end up the most humble in the earlier heat, and we saw the most humble be exalted to the most powerful. So who knows? As I mentioned earlier, the only predictable thing about this sport of thunderboating is that it's unpredictable, Rod.
4 minutes to go to the start of the race right now. 3 minutes to the 1 minute gun, and counting down and on the course and running, and it looks like that the 6 boats that are supposed to go will go, and the alternate will have to sit on the beach, or if it is on the lake, we'll have to withdraw. But at any rate, they're all set to go. We hope they all hold together. We wish them all good racing luck, and here's Ray McMacken to tell you all about what happened.
Thank you very much, Rod and Mike, for a good job back in the pits. And, of course, you'll be standing by with Elaine and Dick for the winner of this one. This is the one we've waited all day for. After some sputtering, after some good racing, it settles down to this. With about 3 minutes to go before the final heat of the day. The field, the Budweiser, the Circus, the surprising Tempest, Barney Armstrong's machine, the Atlas Van Lines, and the Vans PX. 6 boats, all out on the course. That is the Tri-Cities. Tile and Masonry also out. The Tri-Cities is the alternate boat. Don't be alarmed. Vans PX, Atlas Van Lines, that's the Barney Armstrong's machine. Just warming up in the south turn. If I could theorize, as Bill Muncey turns into the infield and goes right by the Coast Guard cutter, Bill Muncey goes wide, right? Because he doesn't want to cut anybody off. He doesn't want to be penalized for jumping the gun. If Bill Muncey goes wide out of the first turn, going towards the starting line, he's going to have a hot boat, the Budweiser, on the inside, and he could be in trouble. I'm guessing that Muncey will try for a little closer to that buoy coming out of the north turn for the start of this race. Of course, he has the new engine in there, and that's a question mark, certainly. One minute and a half. 1 minute 30. Down in the south turn, Muncey, the Vans PX, the Budweiser, up in the north turn, the Circus, Barney Armstrong's machine, the Tempest. Roaring right in front of us. Everybody sounds healthy. Now they're swinging toward the infield. The Circus swinging into the infield. That's the 1 minute gun in the background. 7 boats on the course. One of them will have to back off. All right, this is it. This is for all the marbles. This is for the championship. They're all tightly bunched, going into the north turn, very slowly. On the inside is the Tempest. The extreme outside, Barney Armstrong's machine. The Vans PX to the outside. Tempest on the inside. Budweiser in lane 2. Right on his heels, the Circus in lane 3. Muncey does swing wide. He's on the extreme outside. Here they come for the start. Like a possibility that the Circus jumped the gun. The Circus is in the lead, but it was awfully close whether the Circus jumped the gun. All right, we'll pick up the action as they go into the south turn with the Circus in the lead. But we'll have to confirm whether the Circus did indeed jump the gun. From this vantage point, it looked like it was awfully close to call. Too close to call. So the Circus has the lead coming out of the south turn. And in the rooster tail, you can bet the Atlas and the Budweiser. number 2 boat is the Budweiser. The number 3 boat looks like the Vans PX. The 4th boat, Barney Armstrong's machine, the Tempest. All right, coming out of the north turn, the Circus has the lead. Budweiser, number 2 on the inside. Atlas, number 3 on the outside. Circus with about a half a buoy length lead over the Budweiser in second place. And Muncey going up the backstretch, who was hidden in the rooster tail of the spray of the Budweiser. I couldn't find him, but certainly he's in the path. So a 3-boat race with a Circus coming out of the south turn and up the backstretch. Budweiser in second place, and Muncey's going to the outside. Muncey is on the outside of the Budweiser, but the Budweiser hits it, and Chenoweth picks up speed. We've got a dogfight for second place between the Bud and Muncey. Muncey with a half a boat length lead over the second place boat, the Budweiser. The Circus still in first place with a time of 1:20.401. Going into the north turn of lap number 2, the Circus still holding on to first place. Muncey closing ground. We've got a whale of a boat race. One of the best I've seen so far. Muncey closing ground to the outside, swinging close to the buoy. He's grabbed, he's cut off the Budweiser. He cut off the Budweiser. Circus is your leader. Muncey, second place. Budweiser in third place. And Vance PX brings up fourth place, a distant fourth. The boat race is for first, second, and third all together. Muncey with a time of 1:14.286. Lap number 2, the leader, Circus, 1:14.833. Tenths of a second separating the first and second place boat. Just tenths of a second separating them. The Circus still with the lead. Here we are in lap 3. The Circus screaming up the backstretch, kicking that rooster tail beautifully off the blue water. Muncey closing ground in second place. Circus, the entrance buoy to the north turn. Muncey, the entrance buoy to the north turn. The Budweiser to the entrance buoy. They're all in the north turn. And here comes the Circus, ready to lap the Tempest. He laps the Tempest on the inside. Circus still the leader. Muncey, second place. 1 buoy length behind. A good buoy and a half length behind. Budweiser a close, screaming third place. A whale of a boat race between the Circus, the Atlas, the Budweiser, and in the south turn of lap 4. With an unofficial time for Circus of 1:15.942. Muncey 1:21.120. So he closed ground in lap number 3. This is the 4th lap. The Circus coming up the backstretch. Will he lap Barney Armstrong's machine? He might just lap him in the north turn. That's Barney Armstrong's machine in the north turn. To the outside, Circus lapping the 5th place boat. Now comes Muncey into the north turn. Muncey has a good 1.5 buoy length distance. And now the Budweiser closing ground on Muncey at second place. But the Circus running beautifully. Steve Reynolds hitting the nitro. And there he goes for the final lap of the day. But the question mark is, did the Circus jump the gun? Did the Circus jump the gun? It was awfully close to call. If it does, that means the second place boat, the Atlas Van Lines, if it finishes in this order, could be the winner. We'll have to wait and see. But that start was awfully close, too close to call. Now we pick it up in the backstretch. There's the boat race, the first place boat. The Circus dancing on the water. There it is, a beautiful shot of that boat screaming up the backstretch, past the boats on the buoy. There he goes into the north turn. Muncey just now, right now, entering the north turn. The green flag is out. The green flag, not the checkers. The green flag. The green flag was out for Circus. The checkered flag is out for Muncey. Muncey wins it. The Budweiser second. Circus indeed jumped the gun and was green flag. He's got one more lap to go. So the Atlas Van Lines with Bill Muncey captures the 1979 Seafair race. He trailed the Circus for 5 full laps, but it was awfully close to call on the start. I'd love to look at that replay of the start. Couldn't have been more than just a matter of inches that Circus with a disappointed Steve Reynolds at the wheel right now circles for his final lap. So Bill Muncey, who trailed the Circus for 5 laps, is given the checkered flag, and the green flag was given to the Circus. 3 boats still on the race as the checkered flag comes out for a very disappointed casino boat, the Circus. Oh my! Oh, that's really too bad for Circus. They have got to be disappointed, but we saw boat racing out here that we have not seen in years. Great boat racing between the Circus, the Atlas Van Lines, and the Budweiser. All 3 can be proud of their performance out here today. Bill Muncey with his victory lap, saluting the log boom. The Blue Blaster, the U1, the Atlas Van Lines, and his consecutive string stays intact. Bill Muncey in 1979 remains undefeated, but undefeated by a matter of inches at the start of this final heat when the Circus nudged over for jumping the gun by just a fraction of inches. Oh, too bad. There's the Budweiser with Dean Chenoweth in a 2nd place, and Muncey with a 1st place. Coming into the pits, waving his hand, with a new engine in there. Bill ran 2nd, but he finished 1st. Goes by right in front of us, heading towards the pits. The order of finish, the Atlas Van Lines, the Budweiser. The Vans PX captured 3rd. Arnie Armstrong's machine took a 4th. The Tempest was 5th, and the Circus was 6th. I believe. So unofficially, or as close as we can call it, it's an Atlas Budweiser Vans PX 1-2-3 finish. And there's the winner, Bill Muncey, who did go wide at the start, which surprised me because for years and years, Bill would go really wide only when he had the slower boats, and he didn't want to get in their way because he knew he could beat them. But as we know, the Circus and the Budweiser have extreme speed. And Muncey still went wide at the start. And he could have been in the pits of 2nd place tonight. He could have been in their 2nd place if the Circus indeed had not jumped the gun. Bill Muncey, before this heat, said he would represent the sponsor of the race, the Squire shop, the boat that could not make it into the final heat, and so therefore the reason for the pennant being raised on the fin of the right stern. There's Jim Lucero climbing in there. All right, now, as I pointed out, Circus jumped the gun, but only by inches. I didn't want to say definitely, but from my vantage point right here on the starting line, it was, like I said, too close to call, so let's take another look at it. Let's take another look at it. It was just a question of inches.
Muncey might have cut the boy.
Well, here we come. Now watch, see the boats are slowing down right there, the red and white. That's too hard, really too hard to tell. But wait a minute, I'm being asked to go to the pits, but somebody on the official tower here has said something that we'll try to track down, and that is Muncey might have clipped one of the buoys and might have been disqualified. Now, that is just supposition. We're trying to confirm that. We'd get no answer on that out here until we confirm that. And let's go to the pits and Dick Klinger's.
We're here with Steve Reynolds. Let's see if we can get to Steve here. Steve just came in here. We're trying to make our way out to him.
Get back until he gets way out of the boat. Let him get on back off the pier.
Okay, we've got a... Okay.
Back here.
All right.
You know, you don't look like Chip Hanauer.
You know what, I made a comment. It was published in Sports Illustrated last year that everybody roots for Budweiser because they drink Budweiser beer. And I said, gee, it's too bad you can't drink Atlas Van Line. So they printed it in Sports Illustrated. So we decided this year for Seattle, we'd have our own Atlas beer made. See? Yeah, Bobby.
That's terrific. Did you know?
This is a Squire Atlas Van Line victory.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Marvelous driver we had here.
Did you know that? Did you know that Circus had jumped the gun?
Yeah, I knew one of two of them had, and I didn't know for sure that Bud had. I was positive Circus had because, hey, I was right on and moving strong with good boat speed, and he was ahead of me about a mile. Well, he was down, I think, in Renton, South Park there.
There was some question about a boat hitting a buoy, and perhaps yours did.
Well, the rule says that if a buoy is damaged, dislodged, or destroyed, it ceases to become a marker. So I couldn't even see it. It had been hit by somebody else. When I went in there, it was no longer a marker.
So this is a double victory. Does that make it kind of more fun?
I think it's kind of neat, yeah. We're really pleased that Squire could be with us, and we do enjoy each other, being around each other on the road and travel out together. We wanted them in this heat where they sponsored the race. We thought it was tragic they couldn't get in it. But they got it in with us, didn't you, Rob Style?
Yeah, absolutely.
How about the national championship,
you won't listen to this because you're such a lady, but everything goes better in a Squire Shop shirt.
What about being national championship again? Is that... Okay, Bill Muncey obviously being flooded here by people talking to him. The national champion winning for the Atlas Van Lines, but also for the Squire Shop that helped sponsor this race. Now back to Dick Klinger.
We're back with Steve Reynolds. Steve, we're on live now. This isn't exactly the way you planned it out this afternoon.
No, it just goes to show you the fastest boat doesn't always win. I really think that, we were playing kind of a, well, not a game, it's just this is a game of psychology, and we've been crying propeller all week long, and you can see that obviously there was nothing wrong with the prop, but I don't know what the results are yet. It was awfully close when we hit the line, but you've got to cut them close in a championship heat like that, and it's kind of a gamble. I really don't know whether I was over or not. I know whatever they called it, they're probably right. It's just that it was awfully close. I don't know what else to say.
I think that's it for right now.
Okay.
Steve, all the best to you.
You've all done a fantastic job of covering this race. Dick Klinger and all the rest of you people, thanks for giving us the support that we need, because it never hurts the sport. Thank you, Dick, from all of us.
We'll see you too. Okay, thank you, Steve. Rod, back to you. Rod?
Yes, right. Obviously, there's some loose ends to clear up, some possible controversy. We'll be back to cover more of that, but right now, let's take time out for this. And there's still, as we say, some things to be cleared up. The first buoy after the turn entrance buoy in the south turn, there you see it. There's the debris of the buoy that's still out there floating in the lake, and its approximate marked location. Maybe that what's left of it is still anchored. At any rate, somebody hit the buoy or came close enough to do something with its wake.
The rules, Rod, say that if a driver dislodges a buoy, it ceases to become a marker, as Mr. Muncey said, and does not have to be regarded as a marker or a legal marker thereafter on the course. But the one who dislodged it and destroyed it can receive a penalty for that.
Well, obviously, Bill thought he did not. He says the first time he saw it, it had been destroyed, and he didn't do it. So that's for others to determine. It's already been determined that Circus officially jumped the gun. That was evident. A good call by Ray on that to perceive it from the start. And Ray's got the word, so come on, Ray.
Okay, the official word out here on the barge, Rod and Mike, is that the wake of the Budweiser was the culprit that got the buoy. So nobody gets penalized for that. It was the wake of the Budweiser that took out the buoy, and they've revised the final standings. The top three do not change. Atlas first, Budweiser second, Vans PX third, but the Circus gets a fourth place despite jumping the gun, and then it comes down to Barney Armstrong's machine and the Tempest rounding out the field. So we had Circus last, but they gave him another lap despite jumping the gun, so he moves from 6th to 4th, and the other 2 slide down. So again, the Budweiser took out, the Budweiser's wake took out that green and yellow what was a buoy. Back to you. Okay, I'm told that we're going to have another look at the start of the final heat, of course, where the Circus by just a whisker. Bill Muncey said he thought the Circus was down by Renton. I hate to argue with Bill, but Renton's a little further away than that. Here we go. Now, you see So that was the downfall of the Circus, and there is the Squire Shop banner riding atop the fin on the starboard side of the winner of today, the undefeated Atlas Van Lines. All right, we'll be back with more continuous live coverage from Lake Washington after this timeout.
Excuse me, can we interrupt here on live television for a minute, Ted?
Sure.
I don't know how you feel right now.
Well, I feel great. We have no excuses. I kind of had a sneaking suspicion, you know, the Circus had jumped the gun. And I had the inside lane. I wanted to try to get at least up next to him by the corner, you know, and that'd give me a good shot down the backstretch to get loose. And I hit my nitrous button and my engine died. I actually probably lost 3 or 4 seconds on the way to the turn. And I thought for a few minutes that I wasn't even going to have any engine at all. I didn't even think we were going to get, you know, to complete the heat. But after I got through the first corner down the backstretch, everything straightened out. But it was just long enough, you know, to cause us bad news.
When we talked to Bernie a little just before the last heat here, he said that there was a deep controversy about whether you're going to make some major changes or not. You and crew chief were on one side and he was on the other side. How'd that all turn out?
Well, I think we made the right decision. The first lap or so, I could have run harder if I'd have had the other combination, but the boat's a lot looser and freer, and it's kind of tough to drive it in that condition. So we kind of decided to go with the conservative, you know, and safer the propeller and gear ratio, and yet it slowed us down a little bit. But, you know, like I say, I think the real thing that hurt us in that final heat was when the engine died going to the first corner.
The officials have ruled that it was the wake from your boat that clipped the buoy. Did your wake clip that buoy out there?
I really have no idea. I really don't. I mean, there was so much water flying in those corners, it's hard to tell.
Okay. We'll see you here next year, too.
All righty, thank you.
Nice talking to you. Rod, back to you.
Yeah, Dick, heck of a race for Dean Chenoweth, and of course he did missed the opportunity to win when Muncey made a pass at him and actually turned inside Budweiser in one of those corners. I think that was up toward the north end, wasn't it,
yep.
Mike Fitzsimmons?
Yes, it was.
Right. The controversy apparently is over. We've all settled things here now. Mm-hmm. The Circus definitely was ruled to have jumped the gun. It may have been close, but close doesn't count in this business. You either do or you don't. He did, and therefore lost his opportunity to win the race and hand Bill Muncey and the Atlas Van Lines, or hyphenated Squire Shop, the first defeat of this year. So Muncey drove a good race. He just could not catch the Circus after Bill got kind of trapped on his start, Mike. Looked like, as Ray described, he went wide, and then he tried to save some ground by cutting through the wakes. By the time he got to the first corner, he was right in the middle of the pack.
I got to tell you an interesting little story about the Circus that may have something to do with this and may not, certainly, but they have a crew member on that team called Danny High, and Danny has been a friend of mine for years and years and years, and all so far on the tour, he has not gone to church. Last night he went to church because his father said that they would win the race if they went to church. Possibly he has to change religions now. I don't know.
Didn't quite work. Well, Reynolds did drive a heck of a race, and so he missed by a fraction of a second, maybe, huh?
Well, at least he has the consolation of knowing that when the element of doubt existed there on the part of the other drivers as to whether he did or he did not, he beat the best there is in the business.
Right. His machine works and his driving works.